Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Ethan. Welcome to Splash City. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get into it. I know it's been a while. I'll give you guys an update on my life at the end of this video. For now, we're going to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves and what they are doing to, keep pace with the rest of the good teams in the Western Conference, potentially earning themselves a playoff spot, and how they're doing that, and what it's like for the Wolves to finally be, at least a competitive team again. I've been really intrigued by this roster this year. I think they're playing good basketball recently. They've kind of been up and down for most part of the season, but I did just kind of want to talk about them and what they've been doing, over the past couple of weeks that has made them so effective as a basketball team. So just to give you some perspective on the Wolves season, they started off a little up and down, and then starting on October 30th, they had a stretch where they lost 8 out of 9 games. Immediately followed that up with winning 7 out of 8 games. Then they lost, 5 in a row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and now they're on a 4-game winning streak. So this team has been very up and down, been a roller coaster. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're cold, and that leaves them at a 500 record. They're 15-15. They've won as much as they've lost, and it's been a lot of win streaks and a lot of loss streaks. So where they're at right now, they're hot at the moment. They've won 4 in a row. Up next, they will be at Dallas. They just played the Mavericks the other night at home, and they will be in Dallas for the next game. Then they're heading to Utah to face the Jazz. So a couple of tough ones coming up. We'll see how they handle this. But this is a team that when they get hot, they can play good basketball. They can hang with anybody in the league. They have some pretty good wins on their resume. They've beaten the Lakers twice. Just on this win streak recently, they've beaten Portland, Denver, Lakers, and the Mavericks. So a lot of the teams that are kind of in the middle of the pack there in the Western Conference along with them. They've beaten the Grizzlies earlier this year. They had a win against the Heat that was a quality win. They beat the Lakers again earlier this season, and they had a win over the Bucks near the beginning of the year. So a couple of quality wins for this team. A couple of, clunkers, pretty bad losses as well, but that's to be expected. Like I said, this team has been up and down, and that leaves them at about 500. And I wanted to take a look at the standings as well to give you a sense of where this team is at right now. They're currently sitting at the 8th spot, but as you can see, the space in between the 5th seed all the way down to like the 9th is only separated by 1 game, and even beyond that, the Blazers are just 2 games behind for the 10th or for the 9th seed as well, and then you have the Kings and the Spurs on the outside looking in. So it's really, really close. A losing streak can really set you back. A winning streak can move you up a lot. So the Wolves are right there in the pack with the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and the Mavericks all kind of bunched up in there. So they're very much in line for a potential playoff spot or a play-in spot. They can even, get up outside of the play-in tournament. They can even get up to that 6 seed and potentially avoid it with a nice stretch of basketball here. But obviously, still a lot of season left to be played, but that's where they're at right now. They're keeping pace with a lot of these other teams that are, prior to the season, a lot of people saw these as surefire playoff teams in the Western Conference. I'm speaking particularly about the Mavericks, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, but the Wolves are right there with all these teams. Those squads have kind of had injury concerns and, their own problems, but there's no reason to believe that this Timberwolves squad cannot at least keep pace with the teams that are around them in the standings right now, and honestly, I think they're better than a couple of these teams that are around them. So let me tell you what I like about this team. This Wolves team is full of players who are probably playing the best basketball of their career. In my opinion, this guy that I have in the background here, DAngelo Russell, is playing the best basketball we've ever seen him play. He's controlling the pace of the offense. He's passing the ball extremely well, finding his teammates. He's hitting his shots. His numbers are not necessarily going to jump off the page at you. They're not up to par with his seasons with the Nets when he was kind of leading that team into the playoffs. And I don't believe his numbers this season are as good as they looked back then, but I do think he's playing better. He's playing team basketball. He's playing winning basketball. He's really found a role here, and I'm happy for him because he's a guy that's been traded a lot, been moved around to a lot of different teams. I mean, he had that stretch, Nets, Warriors, Timberwolves, like always kind of shuffled around, a couple of years in a row there where he was just on a new team every single year, and then back, playing with the Lakers. Obviously, got moved to the Nets at that point as well. So D'Lo has found a home here in Minnesota, playing with his good friend KarlAnthony Towns. So I'm happy for him. I think he's playing the best basketball of his career, like I said. And the numbers back that up. I don't have them off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that when the Wolves have DAngelo Russell on the court, their plus-minus is great, and when he's off the court, it's not very good at all. And, partially, part of the reason that they had that losing streak, a few games ago was because he was out with an injury. He had an ankle issue and missed a couple of games, and that caused the Wolves to slide a little bit. So he's doing good things when he's out on the court for the Timberwolves. He's playing good basketball, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they've been able to have success this year. Another one is, of course, KarlAnthony Towns. Cat is not doing anything that we haven't seen him do before. He's still the same old player. He's been an all-star caliber player for a while now, pretty much ever since he entered the league, to be honest with you. I know he hasn't made the all-star team in a couple of seasons. He's dealt with injuries and other stuff, of course. But he's playing up to the standard of KarlAnthony Towns. He just finally has better pieces around him, and that's why it's converting to winning at this point. We know what he is. He's a floor-spacing big man. Pretty solid on defense, nothing amazing. He can get the job done. He's going to average, 24, 25 points per game. He's going to put the ball in the basket. He's going to, have efficient shooting nights as well, be able to finish off plays down low. We know what KarlAnthony Towns can do, and I think that the team that they've put around him is really finally, contributing enough outside of what he can do in order to really lift them to wins, because he was just doing everything he can for the past couple of years and it just wasn't translating to wins on the court. There's only so much he can do, but now this year, his numbers are very similar to what he has done in the past. It's just now they have a better team around him, and so now it's finally translating to wins. And the guy that I really want to talk about is Anthony Edwards, because Ant-Man, I take back everything bad I've ever said about Anthony Edwards. I mean, I went through this last season with him where he had a stretch, in the middle, near the 2/3 mark of the season last year, where he just absolutely started on fire, made a run at the Rookie of the Year award. Ultimately, LaMelo won it, but it came close to that, and really played some great basketball down the stretch of last season. And, prior to the draft, I was not high on the kid. He had a couple of quotes that were kind of off-putting to me. I wasn't really sure how his game would translate to the NBA, but every single doubt that I had has been completely silenced by him. He's been awesome so far in his career. I love the way he's progressed, even just in his second season. He's become more efficient. He's become, a better playmaker. He's just become better overall at everything you can ask him to do. And he's got a great personality. He's joining the Klay Thompson, squad of one of the most unintentionally hilarious players to ever grace the court in the NBA. I love Anthony Edwards. I think he's great. Unfortunately, he's in health and safety right now, so he's going to be missing a little bit of time, and they're going to, suffer without him out on the court. But he scores points for you. I think he's getting better every single time he goes out there, and he plays with such a passion and a fire that you can't help but root for the guy. So Anthony Edwards, I think, is a big reason why this team has been successful, and he's been great in his second season, and I can't wait to watch him grow, because he's a player that I've really, really started to like just in his first two seasons, and that's coming from a guy who was low on him pre-draft. So I really like what he's turned into, and I'm happy that the Wolves have him, because they needed a player like this for a while. A vocal leader as well. That's the other thing about him, is that, as good as Cat and D'Lo are, neither of them are necessarily that vocal leader that's going to be out there on the court and, calling out defenses and calling out switches and, getting fired up in the huddle and stuff like that. And so the Wolves have that now. Anthony Edwards, not necessarily like that type of player exactly like you would think of like Draymond Green or Patrick Beverley, but he is a leader in his own right. And the team has really, I think, rallied around him and his personality, and he's a guy who's going to be vocal out there and get stuff done. So that's the other thing that I think is valuable about his presence. Then I mentioned Patrick Beverley as well. You also kind of have to give him credit for that, being that guy who can come in and kind of help change the culture around this team. They needed a guy like that. I was also skeptical of that trade when it happened. I didn't really like the move, but I think it's hard to argue that it's worked out for them so far, and I think that was it ended up being a pretty good trade, even if I didn't really see it in the beginning. So I think those are the biggest changes that the Wolves have made that have really put them in a better spot this season. And I also want to give a shout out to Jared Vanderbilt. That dude plays with so much hustle. He's one of those guys that his value is not always going to show up in the stat sheet, but he is exactly the type of player that fits well in the modern NBA. I've said this for a couple of years, that guys like that are really hard to find. And a couple of years ago, they weren't necessarily as valuable as they are today. But guys who are, versatile, switchable defenders who play with a high motor, can shoot well enough, can pass well enough. They just do a lot of the little things, a lot of the dirty work that people don't necessarily notice. And there's a couple of guys around the league that are kind of getting recognized for that more and starting to earn more minutes, playing this type of role that Jared Vanderbilt is playing right now. So I think he's also a big part of that team's success. He's been a guy who has really worked his way to find a spot in the NBA, and I'm glad that it's worked out for him, because that's a type of player that I think the league is trending in a direction where those guys are going to become even more valuable over the next couple of years. And they got him on a cheap contract too. They signed him this past offseason in restricted free agency. I think it's only like $4 million per year, and they locked him up for like 3 or 4 seasons. So really good value in my opinion for a guy like Jared Vanderbilt. And I think he's still a little bit underrated, even though people are talking about him. But I just think that the role that he plays is so valuable in the modern NBA, and it's really working out for Minnesota. And I think that's most of what I wanted to say, man. Minnesota, don't want to give them too much praise because at the end of the day, they are 500. They're 15-15. But I think this is a team that has the potential to get better as the season goes along. And I'll give a bold prediction that they will not only make the play-in tournament, but they will advance out of it to earn their right to, play in a first-round playoff series. I don't think they're going anywhere beyond that, but I do think that they're a team that can advance out of the play-in tournament. And that's my bold prediction. I don't know who they're going to go up against, don't know who they're going to beat, but I think this team is good enough to get out of the play-in and potentially make it into the first round. So that's my bold prediction for Minnesota, and that's all I have to say about them. And then just to give you guys all, the video's over now. So if you only care about Minnesota, go ahead and click off. The video's done. Just to give you guys all a quick update on me and my life and where I've been for the past couple of months. Long story short, I severely underestimated how much of my time college and school and my internship that I'm doing it was going to take for me. I was able to make a couple of videos, throughout the first month or so of the semester. But as school kind of wore along, and if you don't know, I also write for the newspaper at my college, and I just got promoted to be the editor. So I have the editor of the sports desk, of the sports section. So I'm in charge of all the sports at the university, making sure they all get covered, and I'm covering men's basketball right now for the University of Utah. So it's a really great gig. It's a super fun job, but it's also taking up a lot of my time. I also work part-time outside of that, so I'm basically working 2 jobs and going to school as well. So it's a lot of work for me. I underestimated how much of my time that was going to take, and I just didn't really have much time, effort, or motivation to be able to put towards this channel. If you're noticing, I'm still posting the picks that I do. I post those, I make picks every day. Post those on TikTok about half the time. If it's short enough, I can post it as a YouTube short. So those have still been going up on here, but I haven't really uploaded a full-length video in about 2 months. So I apologize for that. I've been away for a while, but hopefully I should be able to get back to doing this a little more consistently. I can't promise anything ridiculous. I'm going to try to shoot for once a week for now, with potentially more, especially these next couple of weeks. I'm off for Christmas, so I should have some more time to dedicate towards this, and if I have, a little bit of extra, time and energy, I should be able to put that towards making a video here. But we'll start with just this one for now. Try to shoot for one a week, and we'll see where we go from there. But I do thank you guys for supporting. I know that a couple of you, I made a tweet, and those of you guys who who are liking that and still supporting that, it does mean a lot to me. Even though it's kind of been hard to stay consistent with this channel, especially just because, I only have 800 subscribers. It's not like it's crazy. I don't have a huge audience or anything, but I do, really, I do really want to thank those of you who have been around here for a while and who are still watching me after I just took 2 months off of making content. So thank you for that. I think that's really all I wanted to say. So yeah, expect me back about once a week. We'll start with that and we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said at the top of the video, if you are new, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a like, ring the bell if you want to. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys think about the Timberwolves and their season, and any other thoughts that you have been building up for the past 2 months and want me to know about. But yeah, like I said, I will see you guys in the next one.